Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sibyl podcast. For those joining us for the first time, perhaps you saw the title and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I got to listen to this." Well, welcome. You all know, if you don't know me, you know how much I love Korea. I have explored culture for many years. I loved it so much that I didn't just visit. I just moved here for a year, and I've been here since August. So, as a time of this recording, I've been here for a few months. And I also brought my two kids and I brought my mom here. So this is where we're making life happen, at least for the time being. But here's the thing nobody tells you about falling in love with a country, and this is coming for the career boys. And actually getting permission to either visit or to stay can be a nightmare. And for some people is worse than others, not because of their qualifications, their intentions, or their character, but because of the passport they were born with. Today I'm joined by someone who went through the same gauntlet at the Korean embassy that my family did. And she's here anonymously because frankly, a lot of people are still in process and afraid that speaking up might affect their applications. And that fear, that tells you everything about how broken the system is. And I don't want to put anybody on the blast. So we're just going to talk about their experience with the Korean embassy in Nigeria, the lack of standardization that I've perceived because I've interfaced with two Korean embassies, one in the US and one in Nigeria, and they're so different. And then also the passport discrimination that nobody wants to admit exists. And the stress of not even knowing if you're doing the right things because the embassy itself can't seem to agree on what right even means. So if you have been through this, you're going to feel seen. If you think about visiting Korea, well, consider this your pep talk. Anyways, welcome to the show. And for the sake of just anonymity, I'm going to call her Sis. Hi, Sis, and thank you so much for doing this together with me. It means a lot.
Hi, Sibyl. It's a pleasure to be here.
You can call me Mo. So, I guess, can maybe just take us back to the moment you first realized that this visa process might be more complicated than expected?
Well, where to begin, actually? It was quite the experience, actually. I also have interfaced with a couple other embassies, and I thought that I'd have the same experience at the Korean embassy, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Another thing was, before going into this, I had I had the thought, and I had a second-hand experience from my younger sister who had traveled to Korea before me, although not from Nigeria, from another country. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's Nigerian, but she was in another country and she was traveling to Korea, and the process just seemed so seamless. So simple. Yep. I mean, we thought it'd be like a thing that would last maybe weeks or something, but she was done in less than 30 minutes. In fact, she had to travel all the way to the Korean embassy, and they were telling her she didn't have to come. All this you could have done over the email. I'm saying in less than 30 minutes, she had her visa, she was good to go, and she traveled. So I felt that would be the same experience that I would have, especially because I was a Nigerian traveling from Nigeria to another country. Yeah. And, the embassy here the Korean embassy was here in Nigeria. So I thought maybe there'd be some sort of semblance of experience, with that. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. So the question, at what point did I feel like it was a lot more than I anticipated? Yes. I think when I realized that was kind of like my third visit to the embassy.
Third.
And I think I visited the embassy for this particular visa that I applied for. I think I visited the embassy about 9-10 times before I got it. And it's quite the distance. Let me just put that out there. It's quite the distance. So I think it was about my third time going to the embassy that I realized that, wow, this is a lot more than I envisaged. It's a lot more than I envisaged. You go there and you'd wonder, because there's a lot of embassies in Nigeria, but you would not believe when I tell you that the Korean embassy is the least populated in the entire country. I mean, you hear the ones for UK, US,
Canada, Australia, yes.
Okay, everywhere. Like, you go there and then you see people in their numbers, like in the hundreds.
You wake up at 5 a.m. to like get there because you have an appointment at 10 a.m.
Yes, you know. But where am I getting at with that? I mean, what I'm getting at is the fact that despite all of that, all the waiting and the queuing and the whatever, I don't think the process was as tedious as the Korean embassy. I mean, yes, there's the waiting. Understood. I mean, it's not only you who is applying for a visa. There's like hundreds of you, so it's kind of like understandable. And I think, more often than not, I think they have these embassies just in Lagos and Abuja, I believe. So
yes.
Yeah, it's understandable that a lot of people will be there. Yes, at that point, exactly. So you think that, I mean, an embassy that is least populated, it's supposed to be easier. It's supposed to be quicker. It's supposed to be more standardized.
It's Korea efficiency. It's Korea we're talking about.
Yes.
And not like the third world country. Yes. No offense to other third world countries, but it's Korea we're talking about. There's a level of, efficiency ascribed to Korea.
That's the idea you go in with. Yeah, that's the idea you go in with. And then you go in and you're like, I mean, sometimes you go and would be like, what, 6, 7 people? And even at that, you won't get anything done that particular day. So to answer your question, I think it was on my third visit. After my third, when I realized that I'd have to come back again, that I realized this is crazy. Yeah.
I think we already spotted. I think you went a total of, was it 8 times or how many times, sis?
About 9, 10 times, if I'm not mistaken, yes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, let me just say, the only good thing I will say about the Korean embassy in Nigeria is, maybe just Korean embassy in total, is that at least you know your fate. Unlike the US embassy where you can keep paying for visas, and then the moment you stand in front of the consular office, you're at their, You're at their mercy, right?
Mercy?
They can just look at you and just be like, we're just going to reject you. Before you even open your mouth, they've already decided whether they're going to give it to you or not. And these days we know people who have been, they're, getting rejected. Now the Korean embassy is different in the sense of, they give you a list. You go to their website, you do this checklist, and then you prepare all of that and come in front of the officer, usually like maybe one of the lackeys working in the front desk. And then they look at your documents. Once they feel it's complete, then they accept it, and then you can go on to pay. And at that point, you kind of have an idea that, okay, things are going well, you've been, approved, right? And if they need more documentation, they'll reach out to you. So that's one of the great things I love about it. I think it's more humane way of doing it, and they don't accept your documents. But that said, this is my suspicion though. I want to be real about what we're doing. I think perhaps it's a Nigerian factor. Because again, I applied for a Korean visa while I was in the US in 2020. As at that time, I had a Nigerian passport and I was a US permanent resident. So the only thing they saw was my Nigerian passport. And I didn't have to travel to the embassy. All I did was I went to their website, did a checklist, put everything together, mailed my passport in an envelope, sent it to the embassy. And then in 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks later, I got my visa stamped. It was a paper visa that you have a paper visa. That's how the Korean embassy does. They don't give you like a stamp on your passport. And then you take that, and I was supposed to travel July of 2020, but that didn't happen because of COVID. And that process is still the same because since I've moved to Korea, I've had 3 of my friends come to visit me and 2 of them have gone through the same process. So it's still the same thing. But it seems like the ones in Nigeria, there's something pervasive about it. And this is one of the reasons why one of my main goals on doing this episode is to get their attention. The Korean embassy, perhaps it's the immigration officials, whoever is supposed to be managing the system, because right now it is broken, it is discriminatory, and it's completely unacceptable for a country that claims to welcome, all kinds of people. I want them to rethink their process to implement actual standardization so that this experience doesn't dehumanize people further. So tell me why, for example, in your own case, you went there 6, and it feels like every time you go there, the goalpost keeps changing. And the same person you talk to that tells you to bring document A, by the time you bring document A, they go like, oh, we now want document Primus A. or document Z that was not even on the checklist. So I guess my next follow-up question for you will be this. Did you receive conflicting instructions from different offices, staff, and how would you say that affected your planning and trust in the process, if that was applicable to you, which I think it was, because we've kind of talked, behind the scenes, so spoiler alert.
Yeah. All right. So, yes, I think that's just the plain answer. I did receive conflicting instructions from same office. If it were to have been every time I went, I saw a different person, it's kind of understandable. You'd say, okay, maybe it's a lack of synergy kind of situation that's going on right here, but it's the same person given different instructions. So, for instance, the very first time I visited the embassy, I was given a checklist. I mean, I already knew about the checklist because I went on the sites, prepared my documents, and came. But when I came physically, the first time I did, I was given a checklist of documents to prepare and arrange accordingly, which I did. And he asked a question. Okay, you know what? Let me take you back a couple scenes. Mm-hmm. He will ask the question, or whoever that's the front desk person will ask the question, what is the purpose of your visit? Yeah. And you'd say the purpose of your visit, you'd explain what it is for. I mean, it's English, for crying out loud. And he'll be like, oh, okay, this is the type of visa you're supposed to apply for. I mean, it's your job to instruct people better on what to do. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. So then he gives you the checklist for that particular kind of visa, which was what he did the first time. But guess what? That particular day, I happened to be missing a document, from that checklist. And by the way, need I mention the fact that the physical checklist I was given and the one on their website do not correlate. Let's just start with that. So, I was missing a document from that checklist he gave me physically, which made me come back the second time. But guess what? This way it gets crazy. The second time I returned with that document that I was missing the first time, you would think, okay, you're very fine now. Just go ahead, submit your documents, and all will be well. Guess what? He gave me another checklist for another type of visa.
Yeah, God.
And I'm like, excuse me, hi, I'm the same person that came the other time, and this was the checklist he gave me. I told you that this is what I'm applying for, and he said this is the type of visa I should apply for. And I was like, no, this is the one you should apply for. Are you sure I was the one who said that? And I'm like, what? So, and this happened 3, 4, at some point I was like, you know what, I don't need your checklist anymore, because I seem to have a lot of those at this point, and I don't think, it's obviously speaks towards incompetence. I don't think there's any other word to use there, right? Because, I mean, if this is supposed to be you who is a professional in your job, and you're supposed to be, instructing people and advising them on what and what not to do, and it seems like you're a bit fickle-fackle about your decisions, or you're not very so sure about some of the things you're saying, then, I mean, where to begin, indeed. So, yes, in answer to the question, yes, I did receive a lot of conflicting instructions at the embassy, yeah.
Okay, and thanks for, again, I'm so sorry for what you went through, because I remember it was a lot, even though I don't know half of it because I wasn't there when it happened, but in just talking to you, I could definitely relate to it, because my mom went through that. So there's two other unique things about the Korean embassy in Nigeria, especially the one in Lagos. You're allowed drop-offs between certain times, I think 9 to 2 p.m., right, if I'm correct?
So, the drop-off time is 9:30 to 11:30. It's 2 hours.
Oh, I'm sorry, I even said 2. 9:30 to 11:30, right? 11, and they require you to book flights. Like, you have to have a confirmed itinerary with all of that. So
yes.
My plan is to bring my mom to share her experience. So I came here on invitation by both the Korean president and the US president. So I'm here on a special kind of visa that I didn't even have to do a lot to get. But because my mom is not a US citizen, she had to do her visa for a long-term stay. And you will not believe, guys, that my mom had to leave the US to travel to Nigeria because they required her to do a TB test. And they said they were not going to budge. We told them we could do it at a county hospital, have a doctor verify, that everything was solid. They said, no, your mother has to return to Nigeria. So we booked a summer flight, one-way ticket that cost me a lot of money. So we booked that flight back to Nigeria for her to do it. We did all of that, put all the documents together. My mom went to the embassy 7 times. We live in Ipaja for context, but people that don't know the topography of Lagos. Ipaja to Island, at that time, to get to the embassy at 9 a.m., you want to leave your house at least by 5 or 6. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. Right? And imagine you going there and they say, okay, we've seen this one, we need another document. And you followed all of that list. So that whole thing of, me asking sis about if she got conflicting messages, it happened to her. So I know it's not a one-off thing, right? And then even the communication over the phone, the brevity of their response on the email. I've traveled a lot on a Nigerian passport before I got my US citizenship. And I'll tell you that the most nerve-wracking experience I've ever had with any embassy has to be the Korean embassy. It broke me down. There was time in Korea here that I was just crying. Like, I just thought to myself, I'm just going to have to pack up my kids and go back to the US because I'm just done, I felt so sorry at what my mother had to go through. There was one time that they had collected all of our documents. Everything was good. But they wanted us to change, and I think I mentioned this to you, they wanted us to change her itinerary, our flight itinerary, that it was too soon. So the Korean embassy requires you to have 2 weeks for them to process your visa. So luckily for me, that was the day I was leaving for I was leaving the US for Korea, so I was up so early. So I called my travel agent in Nigeria that, hey, can you quickly please help me update my mom's ticket, blah, blah, blah. So she did it quickly. My mom went outside, printed it, and went back into the embassy. Guess what they told her? Oh, madam, we're not expecting you to come back. Please come back tomorrow.
Yep. That is a thing. That is an actual thing.
Thank God for someone like sis, because I think my mom said you saw her and then you were, I mean, you said you didn't do anything, but I'm just going to put you on the blast here. Thanks to you, because I was at my wit's end. Even Fulbright tried so many times to intervene. They reached out. Number one, you email them, you don't get responses until like maybe a week later. You call the phone, the way they even answer you. I've had somebody disconnect, like cut me off. Why are you calling us? Please. And then just cut off the phone. The level of, I don't know. I mean, as a Nigerian, if you have a Nigerian passport, you're already used to that anxiety when it comes to applying for certain visas. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the dehumanizing layer that came with this process. It shouldn't be, which is one of my goals for doing this, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And I know Korea is hot. Everybody's talking about Korea, K-pop and all that. If Nigerians knew the half of what happens in that embassy, I mean, especially on Nigerian soil, like, why, and I think the most peaceful thing for me is the people that are even doing this whole, being rude and not being responsive are even the Nigerians.
Yes.
Which is like, are you
crazy.
people for real?
It's
are you people
crazy,
for real?
Nigeria is that country where we're supposed to be looking at ourselves as brothers and sisters. We use those words a lot, whether or not we're related by blood. But it's that kind of country where you're like, oh my gosh, as long as you're from a certain tribe and other person is from said tribe, you're like, oh, my brother, my sister, and all of that. So you think there's this camaraderie that just naturally happens, a Nigerian to a Nigerian, but then to go there and to experience something like this, it was nerve-wrenching, actually. It wasn't a great experience.
So for you, I mean, again, thanks for, sharing all of that. And I remember when I was following up with you, and I remember you barely got your passport back. If you can just talk to me about the moments because I think I still chatted with you like 2 days before your flight was supposed to leave. You hadn't even gotten your passport then. Maybe walk us through how it felt like for you how many days it was before you got your passport back, and what it felt like for you to finally get it.
Yeah. Okay. So, in a few words, it was, like you said, it was very nerve-wracking. And that was because, just like you mentioned earlier, in the talk, you are required, one of the requirements for you applying for any kind of visa is that you have to have already had your flight itinerary ready, which means you have to have already booked your flight, which means you already have a set flight date. And having that, as convenient as it might be for the process of application, but it also kind of puts you in check, so to speak, in the sense that, there's like a ticking time bomb in your head that, oh, my flight, and all of that. So I had done that about 6 weeks, no, almost 2 months prior to the application of the visa, not because we knew what we would experience, but just planning ahead. It's just a situation. I know the earlier you book flights, the cheaper it is for you. Just the grand scheme of things. So we booked the flight about 2 months earlier because we just thought maybe the whole visa issue would just be like maybe a week, 2 weeks max, and then one could use the remaining time to prepare and whatnot. But unfortunately, it wasn't like that. As at the day that's 24 hours before my flight's travel time, I still hadn't gotten my passport nor my visa. So I got my visa the very day before my flight date.
Wow.
That is, let me just even say, in fact, hours before, because I got it in the afternoon of the previous day and I was to fly out the next day, early afternoon-ish, like that, So, and then there's also something I wanted to mention, the fact that, with all of this anxiety that you're feeling and whatnot, you would think that maybe when you put a call through to them, and then you'll be more understanding, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I know that it's close to your flight time. We're doing everything we possibly can. No, that's not the experience. It becomes a decision of, and when it's ready, we'll call you now. Why are you disturbing us? That's what you'll be getting. Like, when it's ready, it's not ready. When it's ready, we'll call you. Even for mine, when I called like 2 days before, trying to remind them that, oh, my flight is in less than 2 days, how are we going? And that was the reaction I got. Then when I got there, like the day before my flight, to when finally they had told me that it was ready, when I got there, the people at the front desk were telling me that they were calling me and sending me messages, and such thing happened. I don't know who it is you called. I don't know who it is you messaged, but as you can see, no such thing happened. So it also goes a long way to say, is there really even a process in place?
Because
right? For a fact, is there a workable process that you people actually go through in place? Because for a fact that people that they're basically their lives in quotes are on the line here.
Yes.
Right? Booking flight tickets is not easy.
It's not cheap.
Transferring flights, or rather, that's pushing your flight forward or backward. It's not cheap. It's not easy. So that this is what the cross that people have to bear, and you claim is one of your criteria. So you should be a little bit more considerate for things like that. But it's almost like this air of nonchalance you always get when you get there. It's like, and why do you not book it early now if you knew that? So the whole experience is just crazy, honestly. But yeah, I got my passport and my visa, let's just say hours before my flight time.
Same thing happened to my mom, and I had to share her experience because, again, I want to show you the guys that this is not like a one-off thing. I can't even imagine people that have also gone through this that are not able to talk about it publicly. I mean, I have a voice and I have privilege, and at this stage, I'm not afraid of anybody doing anything to me. Like, heck, bring it on. My mom, again, after all the things she went through, still thinking about it, I still feel very, very, tender about it, because it was just unnecessary stress. Yeah, I get we have a lot of tribal issues, but you see an elderly person coming to your embassy 6-7 times. What stopped you guys from even pulling her aside? I've been like, Mama, you've been coming here many times. Let's help you out. No. You would, and you know that your embassy is located in one very, where the roads are not so good, traffic and all that, and then you're putting your drop-offs around for 9 to 11. Does that even mimic the realities of most Nigerians working? It's not even like during lunch break. And you guys take like 2 hours lunch break, by the way. That is so, what a luxury. And I think the part that blows my mind.
You go on a lunch break for 2 hours.
For 2 hours. I think the part that blows my mind is after everything my mom went through, we had to pay a lot of money to send her back to Nigeria, do that TB test, flying, 7 trips to the embassy from Okwaja, all the documents we scrambled to put together. They finally gave her a 90-day tourist visa. By the way, we didn't get her visa until a day before she flew out of the country. And I remember I was just in tears because they were like, why am I calling? And then they hung up the phone on me. And they even had her to bring her farm documents. So my mom put on there that she was a farmer. What has a visa got to do with bringing her business documents, and not just the certificate of corporation for her business, but also the bank accounts, the bank statement for her business. Meanwhile, I had submitted all of my Fulbright stipend, my own personal account, like everything they requested for. And in the last minute, you took 21 days past your 14-day requirement. And you gave her a 90-day tourist visa. I could have easily gotten that for her in Houston, but I didn't want her going through the stress of having to leave the country every 90 days and then go to Japan and stay there for like 2 weeks to process a stamp and then come back into the country. I didn't want her going through all of that. You put us through all of that ringer only for you to give us a 90-day and you never even explained that to her. Thankfully, when she got to the port of entry, they were, they're very merciful, but we had to fix all of that. We're still working through fixing that in Korea. So again, I guess my question to you as we round off this, so you came, to visit and all of that, knowing what you know now, having gone through what you went through, would you say it was worth it? And would you be applying for a Korean visa in the future?
Yeah, so the thing is, I do have family there, and whether I like it or not, by extension, I have to give them this, because of the family I have there, I also have to extend this level of
grace,
accommodation, so to speak. Yeah, grace, if you want to call it that, towards them. I mean, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with the country. It's a wonderful country. It's a beautiful country. It's an amazing country, and all that. The reason for this is not to backlash or to drag anything more than it needs to be. It's just like to put our voices out there and make people realize that, I mean, there are better ways to make things work.
Yep.
There are better ways. I mean, it's the 21st century, it's 2025. We shouldn't be having these hiccups as at this point. So there are better ways to do things. To answer your question, well, I want to visit again. Of course, why not? Like I said, I had an amazing time in Korea. It was a very short visit, but I had the most amazing time. Like a wonderful, beautiful country, and I would recommend anybody to visit. But was it worth it? Well, I want to say yes,
and no.
But only because it was kind of expression, because I loved going there. I loved seeing the place and being introduced to a new culture. I mean, and because of the family that I have there and whatnot. But sometimes, just like our host said, when you think about some of these things again, and you're like, it makes the heart bleed. Whether or not you want it to, as much fun and as much of an experience that one enjoyed there. Sometimes when you think about it, it makes your heart bleed, because I know for a fact that, I mean, I'm basically now a Korean visa veteran at this point. But
follow us for me.
Yeah. So I would imagine that going again, there would still be that level of anxiety, or dare I say PTSD. That is has kind of like taken place inside of your mind concerning that, because of the experience that one had. It's there. It will always be there, and it might make the appeal not as appealing. But as a country, I'm never going to write them off. I'm never going to say that. It's just they just need to work on their processes. It's an amazing country, and I know that it can do a lot, because I have visited them and I know what they are capable of. So I know that they can do a lot better than what they have in store now, especially for their embassy here in Nigeria. There's a lot that they could do to improve the standings that they have now. So I would just say out there that they shouldn't turn a blind eye to any of this. It's something that they could work on. They should work on if truly they are ready to open their gates out to foreigners and the likes. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
I mean,
Yeah.
thanks for putting that in balance. And I mean, I agree with you. The mess we've had to, the Korean embassy in Nigeria mess that, the mess we inherited from them that we had to fix here, guess what came through for us, Koreans, I can separate Korean
Mm.
people from the Korean embassy in Nigeria. And I also want to say this. My mom never interfaces with the Korean directly. I'm actually speaking to the Nigerians working in that Nigerian embassy. I have a suspicion that the higher ups don't even have an idea of what the plebs are going through, which is why I'm hoping that this
Yeah.
podcast really shows, just, the gap. Because again, I know Koreans take pride in their work and being efficient. And if that's not being reflected in their process, this is how we can let them know. Because I imagine that the emails are probably not getting to the right people, and I guess, and thanks for putting that delicately. Well, I guess my final question for you will be this. Now, for anyone who might be applying for a Korean visa, and I know yours is a little bit different because you were not just going as a tourist. They saw you as a tourist who had a family member who was a resident there, so your requirements were a lot different from someone who was just going to, go to Jeju and eat, seafood in Busan and all that. I guess my question for you, as we round this off will be, for someone starting their visa process now, what do you wish you had known? Yeah, not the big official things, but the quiet real ones. So this way we can recycle it to those who might want to be interfacing with the Korean embassy in Nigeria.
Little bit as possible. I think I would just, my first advice to anyone out there any Nigerian out there who wants to or plans to apply for a Korean visa, just leave your mind open. Go with an open mind. Go with an open mind first and foremost. And I don't know, the as much as possible, the first day or the first time you walk into the embassy to do anything, try as much as possible. I mean, I'm not saying it's for any fault of anyone's, but try as much as possible to make sure that they understand you, because I think that's one major problem that they have. They don't have the patience that, talking about the people at the front desk who attend to people. They don't exercise enough patience to really listen to people sometimes. So in all of that flurry, there is bound to be maybe miscommunication or, of information and whatnot. So try as much as possible to make them understand you, and don't go without making your own research. Well, what I mean is try as possible to make your own research at home or wherever it is, go on their websites, find out every single possible document that you would need to apply for this visa. Mind you, going in there, they might give you a different checklist, different from what you have, but at least you're not going in blind, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You're not going in blind. Even there are even some things that with the knowledge that you have, there's even something that you might even be able to contest, if they are brought up. So go in with an open mind. Go in with a level of knowledge about what it is that you want from them, and also try as much as possible to enunciate, to really hammer on whatever it is that you want. Whatever chance he gets, just try to be like, this is what I want. This is what I want. Understand me. This is what I am asking for. Do not misinterpret or misquote me. This is what I am asking for. And, leave the rest to God, I guess. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, thank you for that. Wait, I had one more question. If you could ask the embassy or immigration system to just fix one thing as it pertains to the Korean embassy in Nigeria, especially, what would it be? And by the way, we're talking about the one in Lagos, because Abuja, FYI, shout out to them, by the way. I spoke at length to them the day, and they were very helpful. And thanks to Sis for that. She actually gave me that suggestion. Abuja, there seems to be, they're not, whatever crack the Lagos office was on, Abuja was in that level. They were more patient and they listened to me, and they were probably one of the reasons why we had a breakthrough. So I guess, I was speaking about the Korean embassy in Lagos particularly. So if we could ask the embassy or immigration system, Korean embassy in Nigeria, in Lagos, to fix just one thing, what would it be and why?
I would ask that they be more involved in the process, because something we mentioned a few sentences back is the fact that we don't think that the higher ups are in the know of what is happening at the grassroots. Yeah. So I think if they paid more attention to some of those things, they would see all of these discrepancies that we're talking about, and they can fix them. So don't be too removed from the system, removed from the process. I know they probably think it will be easier for Nigerians to interface with each other, but you can only achieve that if, the people that you are interfacing with actually have a good knowledge of what it is that they are trying to do there. So I would say that what it would fix is that they don't just remove themselves from the equation. They should keep more, they should be more informed. They should keep an eye out for what goes on down there. Like, people are really suffering down there just to apply for a 90-day visa. People are really going through a lot down there. And sometimes I feel like some of these things could be avoided. There was a situation that I'm not going to go into that, but there was a situation that I witnessed there. You could clearly see that the fault was not of the applicant. It was of the person who attended to him at the embassy, the people at the front desk. It was very obvious, right? So, and you can only imagine, just like the way what our host said, people come from really far. So it's a lot of sacrifice on their part. People have to take time off from work to do these things. Yeah. So I would say that they should be more involved with the process, right? I'm not saying that they should come by themselves and then begin to attend to people. If that's not what they want, that's fine. But don't be so removed from the process. Like, make sure just from time to time, just check out what's going on, check out how things are going. Just be more involved, basically. I don't know how else to say that. Just be more involved. Yeah.
Because you hardly see them, and I also want to see them. You hardly see them. Hardly ever see them. And it's one thing Nigerians know how to do. Not all Nigerians, by the way, but there's that shared cultural bit of it that abuse is more prevalent when Nigerians are left at the helms of those power. And I also want to add that please fix your website, okay? Standardize information there. Standardize information there.
Yes.
It's so clunky. And I'm like, I mean, I live in Korea. I know you guys can do better, The information there is clunky. And then your hotlines, like your phone number, please pick up your phone. Or have dedicated call center. Pick up your phone. Let's get clear information. Information that is standardized. If A says something, let it be. If you call B, B is still saying the same thing. And please expand your drop-off times. Are you kidding me? 9 to 11? Who has, that's not fair.
It's ridiculous.
And if you are a first-time applicant, please give yourself time. If you are traveling in August, start applying from January, because you will go through the ringer. Set realistic timeline,
honestly.
Budget for multiple trips. You might say, it's just a checklist. If I knew what I knew, I would have set my mom maybe in June, July. Plan for at least 3 to 5 visits. Think about transportation, time off work. Prepare emotionally. This will likely be frustrating. It's a system, not just you. Find your support system. Document everything. And hopefully this will, get at them. I just want to say thank you so much, sis, for coming on today. It really means a lot to be able to, I don't even know what the word is. It was a traumatizing experience. And I use that word carefully, because I've been through so many horrible visa application processes, but the Korean one, just how it started off as a harmless process, and I want to say harm because it really put us through a lot. Me particularly, because I was here by myself with 2 kids, and I just thought about my mom, my poor mom, waking up so early just to have like that 2-hour narrow window. You get there and they're telling you, go and bring A. You bring the A. Oh, now we want Z. But your Z was not on your checklist, And anyways, I just want to say so I guess I have a couple of wrap up, is that 9-10 visits to an embassy that sees maybe 6 or 7 people a day, conflicting checklists, changing goalposts, Nigerians treating other Nigerians like they are doing them a favor by just doing their jobs, all for a visa to a country that supposedly wants to welcome the world. And it's not like you're coming here, empty-handed. You're coming here to spend money and boost the economy as well. And I think the bad that gets me the most, that it's not just one person's bad experience, it's systemic, it seems. And I think this is what happens when there's no accountability, standardization, or even consequences for treating people like their time, money, and dignity don't matter. So to the Korean Ministry of Justice, to whoever manages the embassy in Lagos, to the Nigerians working at that front desk, I know your names, I'm just going to not give you your 5 minutes of fame. you are a face of Korea to people who love this country enough to uproot their lives to want to visit here or maybe live here. And right now, that face is showing incompetence, inconsistency, and sadly, a shocking lack of basic human decency. You want to control immigration, fine. Every country has that right. But there's a difference between having standards and having chaos. There's a difference between security measures and unnecessary power trip. Right now, it's a system that is not well standardized, and the impact on it is, is grave on people's health and people's lives, So please fix your system. Train your staff. Actually train them. Not just put them behind the desk and hope for the best. Train them on how to communicate, across board, and how to have like decent customer service skills, because I'll tell you, it's lacking. How they can answer phone calls without hanging up or sounding rude on the phone. One time I called to just, provide information. Why are you calling us? Why are you calling us? It's not your right to call. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not my right to call? I'm the one sponsoring my mother. I'm the one, bringing her here. You're telling me it's not my right to call you. So again, to my listeners, trying my Nigerians, if you've gone through this, I'm sorry if, you went through this, and my hope for doing this episode again is to make sure things, improve. So if you had a similar experience, at the embassy, Korean embassy or any embassy, just drop your story in the comments. Let's make sure that this doesn't stay in the shadows where it can be addressed. And to say thank you for being brave enough to share your story. Even anonymously, I hope this helps someone out there feel like they're less alone. Heck, if I'd had a podcast like this as I was applying for the Korean visa on behalf of my mom, I would have been a lot less lonely, and I would have felt like I wasn't just crazy in my head. Because, everybody talks about Korea, but my goodness, if you're a Nigerian passport holder applying for a Korean visa in Nigeria, I'm sure you've gone through the hoops. But this has been the Most Sibyl podcast, and I'm Mo, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot, sis. This was really kind of you to hop on and share your experience.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Take good care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.